As the number of COVID-19 cases continue to rise, persons are advised to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and families. These include wearing your face masks every time you leave your homes, practicing social distancing, and sanitizing or washing your hands frequently. Welcome to InfoHub for Thursday, August 20. The PPPC administration, since assuming office, has been proactive, meeting with residents and resolving issues. Thank you for joining us as we continue to highlight the work of the new government. The state media will be reorganized and retooled, while new management will be installed in the coming weeks. This announcement was made today by Minister of Public Affairs within the Office of the Prime Minister, Honorable Kwame McCoy.
The Public Affairs Ministry works out of the Office of the Prime Minister and has strategic and policy oversight over the National Communications Network, Guyana National Newspapers Limited, Department of Public Information, and the Guyana National Broadcasting Authority. A 2-week assessment of the state-owned agencies found the lack of prudent financial management, nepotism, poor interpersonal relations, poor working conditions, and polarization of staff. This was disclosed by Minister of Public Affairs within the Office of the Prime Minister, the Honorable Kwame McCoy, during a media briefing on Thursday. He said that in moving forward, the government will be reorganizing, retooling, and finding new management.
In particularly one of such agency, we found levels of staff which we will refer to as top heavy. And so when you examine, it was all just about providing opportunities for friends and family, and the real critical matters which should be addressed have been left lagging. And what we found in many of these agencies is a situation today where we have to now reorganize, retool, and to find new management that will be able to take us to the level of success as government agencies.
In the case of NCN, he said that the company was driven to a state of near collapse, with over $190 million owed in ads. He explained that debts owed were from ministries and other agencies, with the former APNU AFC coalition owing over $16 million.
A lot of them are also ministries and so forth. They haven't been able to collect those monies. I only see one political party here owing. As you're aware, the People's Progressive Party, Civic, as far as I recall, did not use the channel of NCN to place ads, and if we did, it would have been paid for upfront.
Additionally, boards at NCN and GNNL, which were dissolved, will have new appointments to have a clear direction of these agencies. The Ministry of Public Affairs has responsibility to coordinate the flow of information between the government and the citizenry of Guyana. Sneaker Thorne, InfoHub.
Repairs to the 100 meters of breached sea defense at Danzig-Mahaicony will commence soon. This commitment was given by Minister of Public Works, Honorable Bishop Juan Edgehill, following a visit to the area.
Minister of Public Works, Bishop Juan Edgehill, came to Danzig earlier on Thursday to do an assessment of the sea defense breach. Now, earlier he spoke with residents, regional officers, and some contractors.
The intent of the government, and I just spoke with the president, is to ensure that we bring relief to the people.
The Public Works Minister said he was keen on visiting Danzig-Mahaicony before making a decision on the recently breached sea defense, which spans 100 meters and will cost the government approximately $145 million to be sealed.
Because I don't want you to left what you're doing and anybody to left what they're doing to look after this, and then we end up with more breaches happening along the way.
I understand.
That's why I came myself to see what is taking place.
At the moment, BK International Incorporated is already fixing some 500 meters of breached sea defense in the same area. According to Minister Edgehill, his senior team had recommended that the new breach be completed by BK. He said the advice by his permanent secretary and technical staff was due to the inaccessibility to the site and the prevailing conditions. However, he was not satisfied with those arrangements. During his assessment, Thursday morning, he learned that another route separate from the one being used by BK could be made to access the new breach.
Our position, Mr. ANS and BK, is whatever work y'all have is to continue your work. And our intent is that while we're protecting there, is to get the other breach sealed.
To this end, Minister Edgell said another contractor can be engaged to resolve the breach.
I have asked my permanent secretary to arrange for emergency financing so that we can be able to get the work done. I was advised that there was only one access to the site, so the proposal was for the contractors that is already mobilized to do the additional breach. And since I'm here examining that and listening to you, the residents, and observing and listening to what is being done to the 5 kilometers that is already under construction and where we are on that, we have seen that there is a possibility that another contractor can be mobilized, both with equipment and materials, to get to work to seal that breach.
Minister Edgell also spoke directly to the contractors, telling them that he wanted to see accelerated work and little complaint.
We have a low tolerance level for dragging from projects where people go work, and when they're working, they're making scope for more work. And while they're making scope for more work, for get more money, people suffering. We have a low tolerance level for that. We can't allow that to happen.
The minister then met with residents who more or less are thankful that government will be taking swift action in repairing the breach sea defense.
I would like to assure all the residents, within a couple of days, you will see some movement and some action. I will clear with the president the decisions, but the decisions that we will make are largely informed by what I saw and what I heard from you, the residents, this morning.
I appreciate you guys coming out here in reach of the citizen to try to give back our livelihood, because there's nothing else we can do around here but cash crop rice and farming and cattle. That's it.
So we need help. We need you all to take this very serious.
From Danzig and Mycone with videographer Keon Blades, I'm Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
In keeping with government's promise, temporary emergency works were conducted last night to the breached coker in the Diamond Grove area on the east bank of Demerara.
Director General of the Civil Defense Commission CDC Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig explained that about 5:30 Wednesday afternoon, the suit at Market Street Grove broke, causing flooding to the immediate surroundings. This prompted a visit by Minister of Public Works Honorable Bishop Juan Edgell, Minister within Ministry of Public Works Honorable Deodat Indar, and Minister of Agriculture Honorable Zulfikar Mustafa, among other officials, to the affected areas.
As relates to the work that is being done at the bridge, I've recognized that they've installed 2 temporary doors while they work on fixing the main door that was actually breached. But I think the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and National Drainage Irrigation Authority, they will be able to give you more details on timelines on when the repairs will be completed. However, what we observed with the repairs that was done last night, the temporary repair that was done last night, and the high tide that came up this morning early, there was no additional flooding to the communities, so that's good.
The CDC conducted an assessment to determine the level of support needed by those affected, as well as how many persons who would be utilizing the temporary shelter.
Volunteers who are in the different streets find out from the residents if they would like to utilize the shelter that was set up at the Diamond Secondary School. I think fortunately no one chose to utilize the shelter, but the shelter facility is still available for use.
The residents are urged to call the CDC's hotline for further assistance and to access the shelter. Please call 600-7500 or 623-1700. Meanwhile, CDC commenced the distribution of sanitation and other relief supplies to the affected households, in keeping with government's promise of swift intervention.
The residents of Diamond Grove area, I'd like to ask them to look out, because the volunteers and the staff will be coming house to house to give out cleaning and sanitation hampers to the families. So they started already and they will continue during the day.
It was noted that a similar exercise is being conducted at Maikoni. Neola Damon, InfoHub.
Minister of Education Honorable Priya Manikchand, upon visiting the Good Hope Secondary School today, has expressed disappointment over the slow movement of construction.
The project was the original brainchild of the PPPC government to facilitate improvements in the education sector. However, major stalls in the project under the APNU-AFC coalition administration has resulted in its incompletion years later. Minister of Education Honorable Priya Manikchand expressed disappointment over the progress while visiting on Thursday to assess the building's readiness.
This school was envisioned by the PPPC in the previous administration, the 2011 to 2015 administration, to bring in universal secondary education. This school should have finished in January of 2020. We are now in August of 2020. And I'm told by the technical experts on the ground, the consultants and so on, that at this pace, the supervising consultancy, that at this pace, with these workers, this school is not going to finish until May of next year. That is wholly unacceptable.
Minister Manikchand also stated that during the timeline of the project, a number of secondary students would have missed a beneficial opportunity.
I left this building, this project in 2015, and I'm here in 2020. And we're not finished. You have entire children that started high school who are going to go out of high school that did not get to benefit from this project.
Further, she issued a warning to contractors stating that such behavior will not be tolerated under the PPPC government.
People who bid for contracts and win them must ensure they do what they have to do to realize the terms they sign in the contract. So I want to sound a warning to contractors. The Ministry of Education, and indeed the government of Ghana, is not going to be tolerant of projects that go way beyond the time. Most contracts have provisions for liquidated damages, and those are going to start being applied.
The Good Hope Secondary School project is an $857 million project funded by the World Bank. It is expected to have 26 classrooms, a library block, a block for home economics, clothing and textiles, food and nutrition, art, science and IT labs, as well as a block for technical and vocational training. For InfoHub, Akishi Budi.
The Ministry of Amerindian Affairs today received 1,200 food hampers from the Civil Defense Commission to provide relief to the residents of Region 1 affected by the current COVID-19 pandemic.
Communities such as Kwabana, Santa Cruz, Warapoka Mission, Waika Bay Mission, Kokrit, Baramana River, among others, will benefit from the hampers. During the simple handing over ceremony held at the National Gymnasium, Minister of Amerindian Affairs, the Honorable Pauline Sukai, assured that the PPPC government will continue to provide support to those vulnerable communities.
These hampers are being shipped to Santa Rosa Village, from where it will be then transported to the very vulnerable communities. We say vulnerable communities because communities with the lockdown, many communities were not able to conduct their village activities the way they should, and the lockdown also caused some limitation to supplies, goods and services getting into the area. So if that has been slowed, it means that our response is going to be have impact with respect to food security and the support for those who have not been able to work.
It was highlighted that while CDC will handle the logistics aspect of distribution, the Ministries of Local Government and Regional Development and Amerindian Affairs will ensure oversight of the distribution. Minister Sukai also thanked several agencies for collaborating with government to make the donation possible. The CDC welcomes donations of food supplies, personal care and sanitation supplies, or financing. Items can be sent to the CDC's headquarters, Thomas Road, Thomas Lands, daily between the hours of 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Also, funds can be deposited to the Commission's Republic Bank account number 962-356-519-938. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
More news after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. To support the work of frontline workers amid the coronavirus pandemic, the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints today made a massive donation of medical supplies and personal protective equipment to the Civil Defense Commission.
The Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints donated $20 million in medical supplies and PPEs to the CDC on Thursday. The handover was held at the National Gymnasium. Deputy Director General of the CDC, Major Lauren Bennon, said the previous donation of foodstuff from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which was also worth $20 million, was distributed across the country.
The items that were donated for those food hampers are actually items that we had requested for our food hampers. So at the moment, most of those items would have been distributed already. Currently, we are distributing face masks and these disposable PPEs to our medical workers through the Ministry of Public Health.
Major Bennons noted that on Tuesday last, a large donation of medical supplies was made to the Ministry of Health for use by frontline workers.
These PPEs and these masks would continue to go to those ministries and also our law enforcement officers for the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
Director of the National Communication Council of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Lachman Barrett, expressed gratitude to the CDC for allowing the church to be of service to those in need.
I feel good that CDC has given us the opportunity to serve. We welcome that, and not only CDC, throughout the length and breadth of this country, we have been doing just that. And I'm humbly, on behalf of the church, I extend my gratitude to all of them and all those who welcome us and give us the opportunity to serve.
For InfoHub, Ayana George.
Cardiologist attached to the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation and member of that institution's COVID-19 task force, Dr. Mahindra Karpan, revealed that previously, Guyana lacked the capacity to test widely for COVID-19.
The new PPPC administration has since revamped the COVID-19 response by doing more testing and training more medical technologists to conduct the COVID-19 tests. By the week ending August 22, medical technologists will form teams to facilitate more testing within 24 hours. The target number is 300 test samples to be processed daily, and this is expected to clear a backlog of samples awaiting tests.
I believe we're very satisfied with doing maybe 10, 15, 20 tests a day, which is very, very much below the capacity. And at that level, we didn't need more human resource. However, as we got deeper and deeper into the pandemic, the numbers started rising and more patients started getting tested. We got more test kits, but we didn't have trained personnel to do it. The process of starting the training was only begun and implemented last week. There are two components to training, an online or reading part, and then there's a practical part. And we're just over halfway there.
Since the PPPC government took office, gaps have been identified in the previous national response to the pandemic. Measures have since been put in place to address the inherited deficiencies. For InfoHub, Delicia Haynes.
The Region 5 COVID-19 Task Force is currently focusing on containing the spread of the virus in the region through a multi-stakeholder approach.
On Wednesday, the Regional Task Force of Region 5, Mahaika Barabis, engaged in a meeting to lay out plans to prevent further transmission of COVID-19 in the region. After being one of the regions with 0 cases since the beginning of the pandemic, the region announced its first case on Sunday last and has since proceeded to follow the necessary protocols.
We have identified patient 0, female patient, 66 years of age, who has been moved into isolation. We began contact tracing, and we were able to find those persons who were in immediate contact with patient 0, and those persons have also been placed into quarantine or isolation.
That was Regional Health Officer Dr. Desmond Nicholson. The focus is now being placed on preventing further transmission.
As a region, we have been doing our best to firstly prevent and to secondly contain or to mitigate any spread of COVID-19 within Region 5. The REOC, of which I am a member, aims to suppress the transmission of the virus and prevent any associated illness and death.
The Health Department of Region 5 has further created a rapid response emergency team.
We have established the rapid emergency response teams, and of which there are 3. And those teams comprise of doctors, nurses, and other pertinent staff of the health department who will be able to come to you, to meet you wherever you are, and to do proper screening in the interest of making a determination of whether or not you are a person of interest, a suspected case, whom we must investigate further.
Meanwhile, the Guyana Sugar Corporation, GAISUCO, has also been working to implement strict measures to protect staff at all estates, including the Blairmont Estate in Region 5.
As a company, conducted over 150 training sessions for our workers and staff, and at Blairmont Estate, which is in this region, over 31, and this will continue.
More than 18,000 face masks and a range of other personal protective equipment have been distributed from the beginning of the pandemic so far. In addition, the company is working on correcting transportation challenges for workers.
Our constraint is moving 2,000 workers with 18 lorries. So we had an issue in the first half of this year, which was from January to June when we were harvesting. And now that we have started our second half, we have moved towards employing and engaging additional lorries. Well, we will be moving from 18 to 30. So far, we have engaged 26 lorries. We still are to attract 4 more.
Deputy Regional Commander Superintendent Yonette Stevens said that the Guyana Police Force has enforced strict sanitization protocols in the region. She also said that persons and businesses were briefed about the COVID-19 orders and warned that breaching will result in persecution. Also, the Health Department of Region 5 has established a COVID-19 hotline under the leadership of the new Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Honorable Nigel Daramlal.
As part of the measures, we were mandated by the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development to establish COVID-19 hotlines.
Persons in Region 5 are advised to call the hotline if they have fever, cough, shortness of breath, or any other COVID-19 related symptoms. The numbers for the hotlines are 624-2000 or 624-9000. For InfoHub, Akishi Budi.
Remember to do your part to ensure you do not put yourself at risk during this time. If you have a cough, fever, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early, but call the hotline first. That's all for today. Connect with us on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, and visit our website, dpi.gov.gy, as we bring you the latest and important news on what the government is doing to ensure the continued development of our country. Your Bridge reports are up next. Goodbye.